Mission Dolores Academy. I want to welcome you all to our art extravaganza. This is now the third year, I believe, of this wonderful tradition where we showcase all of your creativity and your hard work throughout the year, all of those projects and drawings that are up on Artsonia for you all to celebrate, for us as your champions to celebrate, for your parents and guardians and friends of MDA to see. We are kicking off Art Extravaganza with our Artivisim projects. These were under the leadership of Miss Ray and Miss Stella. They were projects done by our middle school students in grades 6, 7, and 8, where students were challenged to submit artistic works, sculptures, drawings, sketches, words, to describe issues that are important to them, that should be important to all of us, issues that have definitely come up across our nation over the last year, but that have found significance throughout our history as a country. I hope you all take time to really look at each project that they have done individually, that you take time to study their voices, their thoughts, their ideas, their creativity. These projects are incredible. They show such knowledge, such passion, and such a drive to help our world become a better place. And I am so proud of our students. I am so grateful for our teachers who have inspired them. And I am just so incredibly excited for us to come together as a community over the next 2 weeks and to celebrate all of the hard work that has been accomplished, even in remote learning. We can still show our pride for one another, our pride for our MDA community, our pride for our nation as we continue to try and heal and come together in really dynamic ways. Our students are definitely the futures of our country, the future leaders. They have such voice and such power in their thoughts and ideas, and I am really, really proud of what they've accomplished, and I'm so excited for everybody to celebrate that. So enjoy. Thank you so much to Miss Ray for organizing this and putting it together. We're in for a real treat over the next few weeks, MDA.
Welcome to You Have a Voice presentation. I'm Miss Ray. We have here Miss Stella and Mark Harris, our visual artist, who has collaborated with us to create this most amazing piece that our middle school students have done. The way it transpired was by Miss Stella actually doing something in social studies with the students, and we just came up with the bright idea, like, let's get Mark involved and we'll just make this a real Artivisim project. So allow me to introduce Miss Stella to start off with some thoughts, and then we can go to Mark.
Hello everybody. So you know me as Miss Stella, and over the past several months we've been taking part in this Artivisim project. I'm so excited to tell you more about how it actually began. So as you know, for the past year really, there have been a lot of things that have been going on in the news. We've heard about a lot of racial unrest. We've been talking about social justice and hearing about initiatives to support things like mental health and climate change, homelessness. And from day one of the 2020-2021 school year, I knew that all of those things were so important to you. So I saw in the students that from day one, you were saying, hey, this really matters to me. This is something I care about. I want to make a change. And so when Debbie introduced Mark Harris to me and said that he was going to be presenting at a virtual event in November, I believe, I knew that we had to take this to a bigger level and actually help students make a change. So we started out with a research paper because art and creating things is really, really amazing, but I also wanted you to know exactly what you were talking about. It's important to be completely aware of the issues that we discuss on a daily basis, and so I wanted you to dive deep into the issues that you are so passionate about. So we started out by individually choosing a topic that was most important to us. You know, we care a lot about many different things, but I didn't want you to choose something that you only cared a little bit about. I wanted it to be that one thing that you could protest every day about, that you could write letters about, call your senators about. And that's the topic that you chose, not only for that research paper, but for the full art project that you did with Miss Ray. So in those papers, I saw a lot of amazing research, a lot of passion, and that was just the beginning of this amazing project. I will hand it back over to Miss Ray and Mr. Harris.
All right, so thank you. Actually, when I looked at the research papers, I was like flabbergasted, like, oh my gosh, these students have so much to say. And so we went on to the art end of it, and this is where Mark comes in.
Thank you guys so much for the opportunity to collaborate with you. Debbie, thanks for reaching out to me when you did. My work is based in social commentary and social justice. And I really believe that giving the next generation the tools to express themselves about issues that are of concern to them is really our best investment to creating the kind of future that is equitable for all. And these kids knocked it out of the park. I mean, I was so impressed with how adept and just well-versed they are. Thank you, Stella, for having them do the research so that they could really articulate visually what mattered to them. And they did a fantastic job, and it's really renewed my hope and faith in the future because of the work I've done with this group of students. You guys did a fantastic job, and I look forward to seeing what you guys are going to do in the future.
Sorry, I'm muted, but that's a typical thing of me. Anyway, this brings us to our presentation. We hope that you enjoy it. Honestly, the kids are just amazing, and I look to the future of doing more projects like this. Thank you so much.
Rayshard Brooks, 27. George Floyd, 46. Tanisha Fonville, 20. Breonna Taylor, 26. These people were shot for being black, and the police got away with it. They had people who cared about them, but the police didn't care. It was like they were a piece of sidewalk they could just step on, didn't care where they were stepping. Our skin color is not a weapon to humankind. It's a gift. We are not going to apologize for being black because we are black without apology. How am I supposed to feel safe in my home when Tanisha Fonville and Breonna Taylor got shot in theirs? Because wherever I go, I'm living a black life. I walk into a store and an officer's following me. I'm living a black life. Some people think it's wrong for us to overreact. But just because I wasn't picking cotton physically doesn't mean I'm not affected by the history. When we use the N-word, that's how we greet each other. But when y'all use it, we know there's a double meaning under. You can't say it because your friends are black. We want to overcome adversity. We want to change our fate. We want to push through obstacles. And that's why we protest. We protest for our freedom and for a fair chance in life so that our kids and their kids will have a better chance in the future.
Tell me, explain, expand, reframe. What am I? The spectrum of love doesn't fall into one. The affection for one person, the fascination I've overcome. Humanity over world, life over love. But at what cost shall I risk it? For the person I once was. What am I? I watch them walk by, so happy and calm, while we panic inside, a fear till we have succumbed. What am I? Let it go, let it pass, flip it over. Tell me who I really am. I love this, and I love them, but you're not this, not that. What am I really? What am I?
Thank you, Maxwell, for joining me today. I loved not only reading your research paper, but also viewing your Artivisim project. Your artwork did an excellent job of capturing the gender pay gap, as did your research paper. As you were researching the wage gap, what was a fact that stood out to you and impacted your view on the topic?
I learned that many women get paid less, especially in the tech companies. And it's really not fair because there are very little women working for a tech company as is, and many men get paid more.
Awesome. Of course, the fact is not great, but I'm glad that fact stood out to you even months later, and that is something that you can educate your peers and adults on as well. Which brings me to my next question. Sometimes people think that feminism and topics that involve women should only be talked about by women. Can you explain why you think boys and men should speak up about issues that affect women?
Many people have kids these days, and especially if they have a daughter, the dad can always speak up for the kid, especially if the kid's too shy to, or if just too nervous. And also, men can also speak up for women's right because they might be trans or stuff like that. And that's about it.
Okay, it's always important to be a compassionate bystander and stand up for others. So thank you so much for doing that with your Artivisim project. I'm so excited for everybody to see your work. Hi, Brooke. Thank you so much for joining me today. So when I was looking at your Artivisim project, I noticed that you did an excellent job of creating a painting that so wonderfully and beautifully captured world hunger. Why did you choose to focus on world hunger for your Artivisim project?
So one of the main reasons I chose world hunger is because not a lot of people like really focus on world hunger, and a lot of people is like focusing on like racially profiling or like sexual assault, and like world hunger is really not talked about like that. So I chose to like make my voice heard about world hunger because there's a lot of people that are involved in world hunger, and it's really sad.
Yes, it absolutely is, and it's definitely an issue that goes across the globe. It's an issue that affects every single country, but it is not talked about like it is with these sensational social justice topics. So I applaud you for covering that. Speaking of using your voice, why do you think it is important for youth and teens to use their voices?
One main reason, okay, so I feel like teens and like children, they should speak up because one, we don't get to vote, we don't get to share our opinions with the world, and two, we just need to speak up because not a lot of people want to hear other people's opinions, and especially children. Children and teens, they have a lot of opinions, but we keep it to ourselves because nobody asked us or nobody wants us to be heard.
Thank you so much for sharing. I am so excited for the world to hear all of your voices through this Artivisim project, and thank you for joining me today.
When will it be? When I excuse myself from class and hurry to the bathroom? To sob into the emptiness of the big stall, much less the bathroom? To distance myself from the shame of breaking down? When will it be? When that essay cost me what would be my laughter, or maybe my joy, or the time to breathe from the claws of what we call school and to make it through with the people I call best friends? When will it be? When my own phone tells me, you're too big without speaking. Yet a single photo, the photo with the blonde girl with the fittest body, does all the talking? Or is it those who don't listen, that tell me it's just for attention? When will it be? Now I found my answer to all my questions. It will be when the ones who never listen finally notice maybe those scars weren't for attention, when the wounds couldn't heal, when I didn't have anyone to turn to and felt the need for pain. It will be when it is too late. When you think it's a regular Monday, it might be the day where you find that you should have given it some consideration after the head of school makes it known that on the intercoms it was too late to notice the emotional scars that couldn't heal. They say you notice things once they don't appear. The scars, emotionally and physically, have spoken. Now, when will it be?
Hi, Francesca. Thank you so much for joining me today. So you went above and beyond with your Artivisim project, not only writing the required research paper and doing the Artivisim project, but also writing a poem about your topic. What inspired you to do that?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. I think starting off this year and having a lot of projects that I could advocate about, I didn't exactly have a real passion for it in the beginning. I just had to find something to just get my work done, just a regular cause for it. But going through like TikToks and a bunch of social media platforms, I started to see a bigger community speaking out about it, and I started to relate with those people. And I decided, well, maybe it is a cause that I can be passionate about and still get my work done. And doing it with my friends, I started to find a real passion for advocating for mental health because I know a lot of people that do struggle with it. And so, yeah.
Awesome. So your artwork and your poem boldly states to end the stigma. Why do you think that ending the stigma on mental health is so important?
Well, stigma around mental health does not limit to one age category. People who find basic tasks in the workplace hard to do because of mental illness can make it seem like those people do not find support in their workplaces. Within our society, if ending the stigma was possible for older people, we can help workplaces give allowance for mental health days, and if given health insurance, considering some workplaces do give health insurance as a benefit, it should cover therapist and psychologist visits. As for children and teens, because of stigma, parents and older people usually do overlook this group and react to say that teens or children do not have a reason to be depressed or something along those lines. If the stigma wasn't as harsh, I would hope that schools would start to have a bigger focus on mental health as a priority for students.
Awesome. You're such an activist and an advocate. It brings me to my next question. What inspired you to become such a mental health advocate?
Reiterating what I said earlier, I didn't really have a full passion for being a mental health advocate starting out. But then again, with all those social media platforms and people starting to speak up just to end the stigma and doing more research, I thought maybe I should advocate for others and sometimes for myself. Actually, my first take on this interview, I had I had just broken down on this question because of the anxiety and pressure I was feeling, but I realized to myself that it was okay to feel all these emotions, feel overwhelmed, to feel anxious, to feel sad, and it was okay to express those emotions. With like my work that I've done, I really hope that other people can start to feel comfortable with their emotions and not feel so ashamed of feeling those emotions.
I really appreciate how authentic you are about talking about this subject. Thank you for your honesty. Which brings me to my last question, which is, what advice would you give to a friend if they came to you and said that they were struggling emotionally?
This question is all too familiar because I still get friends every day, or even just on regular days, where they ask to vent or they just tell me that they're really struggling. Usually, I would ask if they wanted to elaborate on their situation to get their feelings out, and if there's any possible way I could help them with. But my main point when people come to me is that I don't want them to make them open up to me, but instead be a safe place for people who trust, be a safe place for people to trust me and to know that they don't have to spill out all their feelings.
Okay, you are an amazing friend, and I thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me. Those questions were really fun to answer.
Okay, awesome. Bye-bye. Hi, Alex. Thank you so much for joining me today. I personally was amazed by your Artivism project, not only due to its powerful symbolism, but also due to the medium that you used to create your work. What inspired you to make a sculpture for your Artivism project?
The world is getting more and more polluted every day, and one day it could look like on the left side of the world where it's on fire, but we can make it better, cleaner, nicer, more alive.
Yeah, we absolutely can. We just need to make some major differences. And I think that your work did a really great job of, showing how it could be and how it, is right now, really. So what do you want people to know about climate change that you don't think that they know already?
It is very harmful, and if we don't start making a change, we could just make it worse every day.
Yeah, it's true. There really needs to there needs to be a radical change. And so I think that your art project will really help people see that. And so I thank you for creating that and for meeting with me today. Hi, Anthony. Thank you so much for joining me today. The image that you created for your Artivism project was really profound. Why did you choose to focus on immigration for your Artivism project?
Well, I chose immigration because I feel that many immigrants are not really, they're more seen as terrorists or people who want to do bad to the United States, but not seen as refugees or people who want to escape something. So, yeah, that's why I chose immigration over anything.
Okay, well, your art has been so powerful and it was really great to view. What do you wish that you could tell people who think differently about immigration than you do?
Well, I think many people think about immigration as how to bring drugs to a country or how to bring more people. And many people say, oh, they just come to steal our jobs, because a lot of Latinos are really good at construction. So, and that's why they come here to work, and that's something that they're good at. But yeah, I just wish that people can think about them and say, oh, they're coming from, I don't know, Mexico, El Salvador, to come here for a new life, because that's what they're coming for. And yeah.
And they do contribute so much to the United States. And, as another interview, he said, the United States was built on immigrants. So I really appreciate you taking the stand in your Artivism project to talk about immigration. And thank you for joining me today. Hi, Mallory. Thank you so much for joining me today. I was beyond impressed with your Artivism submission due to its powerful symbolism. Can you explain what your thought process was behind your painting and what it means?
Thank you, sure. I actually had an art block, but I really couldn't think of anything. So I just started drawing things that related to climate change, and I settled on drawing the smog factories which were polluting the air and which caused the temperature to get higher, which are causing the icebergs to melt. And it's just polluting our earth, and how the earth is on fire and how Australia is also on fire. And I just wanted to show how we are hurting our earth, and how the earth in the eye, which looks perfect, is how it used to look. and it's hurting. And I also chose climate change because it's where we live and it's a big problem we have to resolve if we want to continue living here.
Okay, thank you so much for sharing that, Mallory. I am so excited for everybody to see your work. Again, that painting is absolutely incredible, so I think that everybody will be really impressed by it. Thank you so much. Hi, Brian. Thank you so much for joining me today. So as I was viewing your Artivisim project, I was completely in awe. Can you explain why it is so important to focus on immigrant issues today?
Yeah, no problem. So pretty much, I think it's important to focus on immigrant issues today because I feel like immigrants deserve that same amount of respect as people who are born in this country, because I feel like they are also here to work and try to live another day and provide for their family, maybe for other families, for family that are in other countries as well. So I feel like it's important to treat them the same way we treat others who are born here, because they may have not had the same opportunity as we did if we were when we were born here, and so they have to like probably push a bit harder. So I feel like because of their hardworking mentality and how they have to like probably provide for a bigger family, I feel like it's important to focus on them just as much as we focus on ourselves.
Yes, that is so true, and it kind of brings up that issue of equity that we've talked about. So I'm so glad that you chose that for your Artivism topic. Now, your painting says, "Together we are stronger." What does that mean to you?
For me, that means that like without immigrants, our country will probably never will not be the same, because I feel like America was built on immigrants coming together and just overall bonding and creating a better and bigger community. Without them, I feel like we wouldn't have the things we have. Like I see a lot of Hispanics working in construction. Like if we didn't have those type of workers working in the construction field, buildings will probably take less time to be created and built. So we probably won't have the same amount of architectural designs that we have today. Maybe our technology won't be advanced as much because we are made up of a lot of immigrants, and a lot of them with different ideas, different philosophies, and different overall skills that could help us in the long term to advance together as a society.
Okay, I could not agree more. The United States was built on immigrants and with immigrants, and so it's important that we continue to value their lives and, work to make it better. So thank you so much for taking time out of your day, and I'm so excited for everybody to see your work. Hi, Destiny. Thank you so much for joining me today. Now, you were the only Artivism student who chose to focus on animal abuse for your Artivism project. Why did you choose that as your focus?
I feel like that I know there are like a lot of bigger problems that need looking at, but even the small ones should be like focused on as well. And I feel like not like a lot of animal abuse, like it happens, but no one really talks about it.
I completely agree. There's always going to be a ton of social justice issues, but choosing one to be really focused on and maybe, talk about not more than it has been talked about in the past is super important. So your artwork, it actually says that animals just want to be loved. So that makes me think, what is your favorite animal, and do you have any animals at home that you love?
Well, I recently moved out, so not in my current house, we don't, but at my dad's house, I have a dog and 2 fishes, and then at my grandma's house, where we used to live, we had 3 dogs, 3 chihuahuas. I don't really have a favorite animal because I don't like being biased because I think they're all super cool and cute. So, yeah.
Well, that makes sense. You sound like a true animal lover, and I definitely agree. I love all animals. But yeah, chihuahuas are pretty cute, so I might be biased towards dogs. So thank you so much, Destiny. I am so excited for everybody to see your Artivism project. to talk about social justice issues, especially when the issues don't directly affect them?
So it's like important because like climate change is like a very big problem and could like lead to like extinction because like so the ice melts from the amount of heat and fossil fuel we burn, which makes like the ocean like more because like the ice melts, so then like some cities might sink underwater, and then like it knocks out some animals from like the food chain because animals die because of climate change, so then the predators can't eat them and then they die, and then the predators that eat that predator dies too, and it goes on.
Yeah, I am so amazed at how well versed you are on this topic. I didn't know all these things. And I was also amazed by your talent as I viewed your Artivisim project. So I'm curious, what inspired you to cover climate change?
I just like wanted to save like the animals and wanted to like spread word about like climate change and how it's like a real thing and like how dangerous it can be and like wipe out a lot of animals.
Well, I am so happy that you did that. Your Artivisim project is incredible. I'm so excited for everybody to see it. Hello, thank you so much, Alyssa, for joining me today. I'm so excited to talk about your Artivisim project. Okay, let's get started. So as I was looking at your artwork, I loved how it tried to dispel myths and aim to raise awareness about topics that pertain to the trans community. Why do you think that advocating for trans lives is so important?
Yeah, I think that
I haven't been able to hear anything. I haven't been able to hear anything, so I'm going to say that all again.
No, I think I lagged there.
Okay, so I'm just going to start over and we'll do the exact same thing. Okay. Hi, Alyssa. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm so excited to talk about your Artivisim project. So as I was looking at your work, I loved how it aimed to dispel myths and raise awareness about topics that pertain to the trans community. Why do you think that advocating for trans lives is so important?
Yeah, I think that trans people should get more recognition for what they do and for what they've experienced. I think that they should be represented more in the media and in other places. Yeah, I think that's it.
Okay, awesome. And it seems like trans lives are often left out of the conversation when discussing LGBTQ communities. Why do you think that is, and what do you think can be done to change that?
I don't really know why that is. I think that there's just a lot of stigma against trans people. I guess getting the word out and, telling others about trans people that are doing a lot for our country or world in general, and telling people about the trans community, I think that'll help a lot with, getting trans people into the conversation and getting them rights and helping them live a good life. Yes.
Amazing. Thanks so much for sharing. I do think that simply raising awareness and having those conversations is the best first step. Now, finally, our final question is, how do you think adults can support youth and teens in the LGBTQ communities?
I think they should just allow them to be open about who they are, or just give them space to talk, or and just let them say how they feel about who they are. And yes, that's all I have.
That is awesome, Alyssa. I think that you are such an awesome voice, and it's so cool that you are, raising awareness about these topics as young as 6th grade. So fantastic job, and I am so looking forward to hearing your story and everybody else's stories during this Artivism project. Thank you. Goodbye. Alrighty, thank you so much for joining me today. Now, your Artivism project was really powerful to read about and to see in project form. Can you explain what it was like researching the horrible topic of child abuse and what it was like to make an art project about it?
It was really sad seeing how many kids were being treated like this. Many of them lost their opportunities because people have been abusing them. They lost opportunities to be fed nicely, have a good house, because people refuse to give them these opportunities. And they struggle with being, feeling like they have parents that love them, people that just entirely care about them. They just had struggles of that their whole life, and most of them have. But it's really sad seeing how many kids have died due to this. Speaking out about it is very important because many people haven't spoken out about it, and it's really sad seeing how it's just kids, it's not adults, it's kids. They're they just came to the world, and adults have had all these opportunities to be here every day. They've been living, and the kids have they're new to this place, and you're just showing them how cool it is. And for the second question, if I could go in front of a group of leaders and ask them to talk about or stand against child abuse, I would say that it's really sad how they can, reach out about this, and sometimes people won't be paying attention to it, but if they can reach out about it, and more people will understand, since these people are so popular, they're idolized, and many people look up to them. Maybe the people who look up to them will be able to change their thinking to how this person thinks, because some people just do that. They're just people. Sorry, my sister walked in and I'm stuttering a lot.
Oh my gosh, Iris, it was amazing. I was just thinking, wow, this is such an incredible interview. You are really, really well spoken on the topic, which is not surprising at all, but I know it's difficult to talk about this topic in general. So I'm so impressed.
Thank you.
Okay, so thank you, and you are free to head to Miss Ray's class. If you just chat her and say I was with Miss Stella, and she will totally be okay with that, and I'll text her too.
All right.
Okay, thank you.
Bye.
Hi, Joy. Thank you so much for joining me today. So your artwork captures concepts like identity, mental health, and social norms. What influenced you to create such an impactful painting?
Well, I know that there are a lot of struggles in the world right now, especially within the youth. So that's why I decided to make that artwork piece, because it just really shows how many problems there are in the world, and that there are a lot of youth and adolescents struggling, especially during this time, because there's no one ever interacts with each other anymore. So
kind of isolated and alone, so I made everything like that.
Okay, I thought it was really powerful. So thank you for making such a wonderful piece. And we had that art part of it, but we also had the research papers. So I'm curious, as you did research on issues that affect youth, what was the fact that made a significant impact on you?
A fact that made a significant impact on me was the amount of mental health problems that youth are struggling with. I did some research on it, and there was actually a lot more than I thought there would be. And there were a lot of suicides and just overall, just so many problems. So that just really shocked me, and it made a really big impact on my project.
Okay, I agree. The numbers out there are shocking, and so I'm glad that you are using your voice to make a change. Thank you so much for meeting with me today. Hi, Joseph. Thank you so much for joining me today. So, gun violence is an issue that we hear about on the news, what seems like every single week. What do you think can be done to change this national issue?
Well, I think we need like tougher gun laws for like certain things. Like if you're going hunting, like you need to like always show your license and everything like that. You always gotta have like a registration for the gun, and it's always gotta be like in self-defense, because you can't just be like shooting people, because like that's just affecting everyone's community, and like we're losing so many lives because of that.
Absolutely. It's really a horrible thing that our country is facing right now. Now, why do you think it is important for youth and teens to get involved in the fight for gun reform?
I think it's very important for young people and teens to like start protesting against this, because it's like it could happen to anyone. It could happen to you, to someone you love. So like it's better to start fighting now, so in the future you won't have to worry about so many like of people like dying from that.
That makes total sense. It could happen to anybody. And I think that your art project definitely will make that known to everybody who looks at it. So thank you so much for taking the time to meet with me today. And I'm excited for everybody to see your work. Hi, Julian. Thank you so much for being here with me today. I absolutely loved your Artivisim project because it captured the intersectional nature of LGBTQ rights and racial equality in America. Why do you think it is important to talk about those two social justice topics at the same time?
I think it's important because they're both issues in the world, and it's good that we're focusing at one thing at a time, but none of them should be forgotten. And I also remember last year there were a few deaths like of Black trans women, and that like being part of the LGBTQ plus community like is probably part of the reason for that death, for those deaths. So
Yeah, it definitely is. There's lots of evidence to show that, when you have multiple minorities, it increases a lot of risks for things like that. So I'm really glad that you addressed it in your art, which is just absolutely incredible and makes me want to ask, what do you love about expressing yourself through art?
you can't really be wrong. You just put whatever you like want to say on the piece, and it's not even doesn't have to be writing or anything. Like even on my thing, I accidentally put the rainbows upside down, like because they're the rainbows and the fist were like opposite of each other, but I left it there because it doesn't really matter as long as I get my point across.
Yeah, that is so true. And your point definitely got across. I didn't even notice it. So I think that, as long as the impact is positive, then art is always great. So thank you so much for joining me today. And I'm so excited for everybody to see your work. Hi, Mikkel. Thank you so much for joining me today. So with your Artivisim project, you created a really harrowing and thought-provoking painting to describe how family separation at the border needs reform. Why did you choose to cover this topic for your Artivism project?
So there were a lot of options that I could have chosen from, and I chose this specific topic because I felt like it was a deep topic for me since I'm a child of immigrants. My mother and my father are both from Mexico, and when they came here, they didn't really have to worry about me getting separated from them. And I feel like kids, some kids may have, separation anxiety, and that could lead to even more problems. And the separation at the border is something that isn't very necessary because there's no real advantage or disadvantage about taking a child away from its mother or its father, especially at a young age, how they have to go through staying inside a cage with a blanket and having only 2 meals a day. So I chose that one because it's a very unheard topic, and many people tend to avoid it when they're talking about stuff like this.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much for sharing. It's interesting to hear your personal story and how, even though you didn't go through that, you recognize that it's something that no child should ever have to go through. Now, let's say you were going to Congress and you had to speak in front of a lot of people. What would you say to them to convince them that immigration reform is so necessary?
Congress, it's a very serious thing, and as a kid, I don't really understand how people think it's okay to separate a child from its mother. It's wrong. Everyone knows that it's wrong. It's common sense to be like, oh, a child's being separated from its mother. Why are we doing that? How is that going to help us in the future? How is it helping us now? And when you look back, it's very sad seeing kids, because I've seen it on the news when Donald Trump was talking about it, and everyone's like, why are they doing this? Some people are like, oh, this is better for us. And I would probably just say it's not necessary. It doesn't give us an advantage, plain and simple. Simple.
Mm-hmm. I think that would really be impactful. I wish that Congress would allow children and teens to come and talk about these issues because I think that sometimes that distance from these issues makes it seem like it's not an actual problem, but this is very real and is the tough reality for a lot of families. So I appreciate you using your voice and talking about this very important subject. And thanks for talking with me today. Hi, Sina. Thank you so much for joining me today. Your College for the Artivism project was so beautiful and really inspiring to me. What does girl power mean to you?
Thank you. Girl power means when you're courageous, you're brave in your own ways. Like you don't care what other people think of you. You take another step. You just show who you are without caring.
Yeah, I totally get that. And I think that is an excellent definition of girl power. So that is amazing. And speaking of courageous, brave women, who is a woman that inspires you?
A courageous woman that inspires me is my mom because she's like my best friend. She always teaches me well. She just tells me what I need to do, how to succeed, and always believes in me, which I really enjoy about her. And just her support means everything.
That's amazing. I'm so happy to hear about your friendship and how amazing of a mom she is. So thank you so much for joining me today. I'm so excited for everybody to see your artwork and learn more about what girl power means to them.
Thank you.
Hello, Stephanie. Thank you for joining me today. I was so inspired by your Artivism project, and I know that everyone else will be as well. So your art piece was very powerful and did an excellent job of symbolizing racial violence in the United States. Can you explain to me what it was like for you to create such an impactful piece while also grieving the Black lives lost that you wrote about?
It was a learning moment because I didn't even know half of the names. And then it was sad because it was so many names that I couldn't even fit on there.
Yeah, that is horrifying, and it's sad to think about names that continue to be added to that list. Thank you for sharing your authentic reaction to creating your artwork. Next, recently the police officer who killed George Floyd was convicted on all 3 counts against him in court. What did that moment mean to you?
Personally, I've personally met the family of George Floyd, so I felt really happy for them. But at the same time, I feel like we shouldn't have had to protest it and everything for justice. I feel like it should have been given because it was obvious, like he murdered somebody on camera.
Yes, it was less justice and more accountability. Thanks for sharing your personal experience with that, and I could not agree more. Lastly, I'm just going to ask you, as a young activist, what do you wish you could tell people about racism?
I wish they could tell them that it's not a lot of stuff. It's not cool, like murdering people because of the color of their skin, discriminating against them, not letting them do the same thing, feeling like they're less than just because of the color of their skin. I think it's really disrespectful.
You couldn't have said it better. It's disrespectful. It's uncool. It's all of these horrible things. And I personally am hopeful that your generation will mark the end of the horrible police violence and racism that occurs on a daily basis. And being an activist yourself and creating such impactful artwork will definitely help make that our reality. So thank you so much, and I'm so excited to see everybody's reactions to your amazing work. Thank you so much for joining me today, Teresa. I was amazed as I read your research paper on systemic racism and also as I viewed your corresponding art piece. What do you think can be done to combat systemic racism?
I think that, I don't know, I just think that maybe people should just learn how to, like, they should just learn how to respect people. And I know most of the time people aren't really even doing anything and they just get killed or hurt for no reason. And it should just stop. I think we need to keep going with the protests, even though maybe some things won't stop, but what can we really do? People are just going to keep doing what they're going to do.
Yeah, I think that protests are amazing because we've seen even in the past year that they have been impactful. And so hopefully that can continue to make a difference, and the outcomes of police trials and things can allow people to know that we can't put up with this anymore. But I agree with you. When people get killed or hurt just for simply existing and not for any reason even, it's really disheartening. So I understand that it's a tough issue to talk about. Which kind of brings me to my next question. It's kind of similar to the first, but what do you think specifically youth and teens can do to take a stand against systemic racism?
I think all around the world and all around the country, we can gather up and build websites to educate people on what's actually happening.
Yeah, I think that's so true.
And yeah,
Well, you can go ahead and keep going if you want.
we should just keep talking about the situations so that people actually know what's going on around the world.
Yeah, I agree. I think that simply having those conversations and talking about it can be really impactful, as we've seen. So I especially think with your generation, I can already tell that it's just a generation of activists. So I'm really hopeful that you all can make a difference. So thank you so much, Teresa, for meeting with me today. And I'm so excited for everybody to see your amazing art project. Hi, Tom. Thank you so much for joining me. So your artwork captured the fight for gender equality in a really wonderful way. Why did you choose to focus on that for your Artivisim project?
I chose gender equality because it is a big problem in this world, and I wanted to make my artwork to show that all genders are equal, and nobody was doing the gender equality work, so I decided to do it.
Awesome. I'm so glad that you did. It definitely is something that we need to talk about. Now, what do you think it will ultimately take for all genders to be treated equally across the world?
I think it will take a long time, but problems in this world are very temporary. So I think it will take like I think it will be soon, like about 6 years or later.
Okay, yes, I definitely hope so. The sooner, the better. Thank you so much, Tom, for sharing your opinion on gender equality, and I'm so excited for everybody to see your work. Okay, hi, William. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Hi.
Alrighty, so your Artivism represented the impact of carbon emissions on Earth. What inspired you to make climate change and sustainability the focus of your Artivism project?
Well, I think climate change is very something I strongly believe in, and it's definitely at the top of my list of problems I care about. And so I thought I got the idea to make it a candle burning out while I a long time before the assignment came up, and then I kind of remembered that, and so that's what I made. And I think I was inspired by how little has been done to prevent this, especially in climate accords where countries come together to try and do something, because the policies they enact are largely ineffective, and the pledge is usually barely enough or not enough.
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, I thought that your idea of using the candle was a really interesting symbol that you used, so bravo on that. But your answer to that question actually brought me to my second question, which is, people have been advocating for environmental justice for a really long time, but why don't you think enough has been done by now?
Well, I think a lot of politicians don't have it. Even Democrats don't have it at the top of their list as something that needs to change. Some Democrats definitely really strongly care about it, but many just aren't. They don't think that it'll affect them in such a personal way that they need to do something about it, and some don't even believe in it. And so I think because of that, it's been largely ignored until now, where there's only about 7 years left until we can't do anything to prevent the disasters that will happen and are already happening.
Yes, that's definitely tricky and difficult to hear about. Is there anything else that you want to share about sustainability or climate change or about your Artivisim project before we head out today?
Yeah, well, I think it's really kind of to represent two paths that we can take. One is one where we have oil companies taking over as a monopoly on all energy. I mean, they already do have a monopoly on all energy, but I think the disasters that would come from that. So there's two paths, one where we have sustainable energy that is not harmful to the environment, and another where we have incredibly wasteful energy sources.
Okay, I'm glad that you shared that and provided more context for your art piece. Thank you and have an awesome day, William.